girls, grab your beers.
Hey everybody, this is Charlie from Anthrax, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time.
Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now here's your host.
I am Monty Heath, so one Heath, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
Hey, what's up? It's John from Skillet, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle on Domain Cleveland Radio.
Fasten your seatbelts.
What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle. And real quick housekeeping note, if you're watching us on YouTube or Rumble or BitChute or Odyssey, please hit that follow and subscribe button. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple, Google, whatever podcast platform you utilize, please hit that follow and subscribe button so we can continue to bring you conversations like the one I'm bringing you today. We are talking with Ray Hawthorne, and apparently he sucks, but we're going to get into that. What's going on, Ray? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Excited to talk.
Yeah, me too, man. So usually, though, when I have somebody on for the first time, I like to get a quick background. So do you remember originally what you wanted to be when you grew up?
I think like the youngest thing I can remember wanting to be was a teacher. I wanted to be like a kindergarten teacher, just I guess because I was like a little kid, you know? So I thought that would be fun. I don't know. But I did later in life end up teaching music, so I guess kind of worked out eventually.
Yeah, you eventually pursued the teaching thing. That's good. And then, like, what was it? When was it that like music kind of caught your attention, and who were like the earliest influences?
So I saw School of Rock with Jack Black when I was a kid, and that came out. And I've always just been like a really nerdy kid, obviously, with everything around me. And I think I saw that kid like start to play guitar in that movie, and he seemed like kind of cool. And I was like, man, I really want to be cool too. And so I just, this is just a 20-year attempt at being cool. I don't know how well it's working though.
You're getting there, man. You're getting there.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying real hard.
And then like what you saw that movie and it influenced you to give it a shot, but when did you actually start like playing and performing?
So I think shortly after I saw the movie I started taking guitar lessons, and it was probably a few years after that I started actually wanting to perform. Like I think the first time I ever performed publicly anywhere was like a high school talent show, and I think I played a Nirvana song acoustic. It was You Know You're Right. I don't know if you know that song. It was a Nirvana song called You Know You're Right. First thing I ever played. I think they announced like when I came out, they announced it wrong. They're like, "Oh, here he is playing Blink 182," and I was like, fuck!" Like I don't know, I don't know what to do. I was all nervous. And I was pretending I wasn't nervous, but so yeah, I think a few years later, and then, all throughout high school and stuff, I just kept performing as much as I could, and that was just kind of my thing. I just became like really obsessed with music,
Nice. And then what was it or what was the music scene like where you grew up at?
A lot of like Legion shows, and like shows at like VFWs and shit. And they always had to be, the only way anyone would let anyone play anywhere was if they were like for a charity cause. So kids would be constantly looking for like some shit to donate to just so we could rent out like a Legion Hall and play there, But yeah, a lot of like, stuff like that. I was like outside of Philly, so there was a lot of like backyard shows and and things like that. Really cool stuff, to be honest. But I think everyone's like hometown scene is pretty cool, because whenever there was a band that everyone considered to be like a big popular band in like the local scene, kids like really showed out for it, and the mosh pits were great. And yeah, I was pretty much in like the local hardcore scene. Like that's the shows I would go to, you know.
Nice, yeah.
So it was heavy and stuff, and I know I don't play stuff that's that heavy anymore, but it was cool, really cool.
No, those are always a good time, man. Those Legion shows. All about that DIY hardcore scene.
Hell yeah. I saw recently, I think Census Fail was promoting that they were playing a Legion show or something. I think it was Census Fail, and I was just like, that's the coolest fucking thing. Like I would love to go see a band like that, like in a Legion hall now. Like I just think that would be fucking awesome. I'm sure it's like impossible to get tickets because it's like 100 cap, like 50 cap show, something like that. But it would be cool, man.
Oh, for sure. And then like when you started like playing some of those shows, like when was it that you kind of met up with other like-minded musicians and started, you know, putting together bands?
So I feel like people that I got into bands with were just like my friends in high school. You know what I mean? It was just like other kids that I knew that played guitar in high school, and it was always the hardest thing for whatever reason was like to find a drummer. Because I think like everyone just wanted to be guitar players, you know. And honestly, through most of my like early music career, I was just, you know, similar to now. Like I was just a solo guy because I couldn't really find anyone who I felt was like dedicated to it in the way that I wanted to be dedicated to it. And like whenever you did get into bands, like they would kind of fall apart pretty quick and things like that. I had a couple that lasted pretty long. Even I had a duo at one point. It was like an acoustic duo with my friend Sean. That was pretty cool. We were called Team Puppin Suds from the movie Brink. Yeah, it was basically just kids from high school. Like I don't think I ever like met someone at a show and was like, let's work together, you know. It was really just kids I knew in class, and you know, that's pretty much all.
And then you were saying that majority of it's kind of you just been doing it solo. So it's like kind of like,
yeah.
Ray, has it always been under Ray Hawthorne, or did you have?
Yeah, when I was initially doing it, when I was like 15 years old, it was just Ray Hawthorne, and then from then on, it was a lot of like bands and stuff, or band names and band stuff. It's only recently, earlier this year, that I went back to just Ray Hawthorne. Yeah, we had some weird ass band names. Like I said, the duo was called like Team Puppin Suds. I was in another band called He Wrote Down Nixon. Just weird shit, man. I was doing some crazy stuff, like weird stuff all through my 20s. Like some of them I feel like I can't even say because I'd get like canceled for the name of some of these fucking bands. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I've always like, especially back with the minds of the high schoolers, like what they thought were the coolest band names ever, and I love hearing those names today. You know.
Yeah,
like, I think I'm just gonna go with my birth name.
Yeah, exactly. I remember telling one of my friends, I was like, "Yo, you should call your band, oh shit, it's Jaws." Like that's what I thought that was gonna be the coolest band name, and like I think he kind of thought about it, but eventually, me and that guy got in a band. So there is a He Wrote Down Nixon song called "Oh Shit, It's Jaws." Like it was, so we just used it as a thing.
Dude, I just started imagining like a crowd of people just chanting, "Oh shit, it's Jaws! Oh shit, it's Jaws!" Like waiting for you guys to take the stage.
It's kind of cool. It's, you know, it's unique for sure.
Yeah, couldn't play any beach festivals though, you know.
Yeah, really exactly.
Fucking people up. But then, so I mean, you've been doing, you know, the music thing for a while, and now it's like you're back under the Ray Hawthorne banner. What's you know, let's talk about, you know, the album that's getting ready to drop.
Okay.
The Ray Hawthorne, what I alluded to it with the introduction, Ray Hawthorne Sucks is dropping November 7th, I guess, just in time either for the votes to be counted or stolen, depending on who you ask. Hopefully it'd be a nice distraction for us. But what's the inspiration for picking that name, or just saying that?
I think I'm just trying to get out ahead of it. If you make fun of yourself first, it's people can't make fun of you. No, it's not that. It's funny. Initially I had this idea where, over the years I've had the pleasure of like meeting a lot of musicians that I looked up with and working with a lot of musicians that I really like that are like successful and big musicians. And I was like, it would be really funny if I called my album Ray Hawthorne Sucks, and then I got all of these people that I know to record like a 15-20 second thing like as interludes on the album that were just like, fuck that guy, he's terrible, I'd never work with him. You know what I mean? I decided not to do it only because I ran out of space like on the album. Like it was I could only fit like a certain amount of songs on the vinyl, and it would have taken up collectively like 3 minutes, which is like I could put one more song on there if I were to do it. But that's where it came from. Like I just had this funny idea where I was like, oh, I'm just gonna get all like my musician friends to talk shit on me on the album, and it'll be like I thought it would be like a funny like punk rock
roast album or something.
Yeah, like I just thought it would be funny like to do something like that. Like even so one of the songs on there, I've got like Kellen from Sleeping with Sirens on it. Like I thought it would be funny if before that song played, he was just like, I fucking hate that guy. You know what I mean? Like, and then the song plays. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought it would be a good
pay's good. The pay's good, so I'm gonna do this song.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know though, but that's the idea of it stuck with me, and now I kind of like that. Like I'm thinking forward for like future albums. I think I'm gonna stick with similar deals. I'm thinking my next album will be something akin to like Ray Hawthorne is actively gaslighting me.
And then I enjoyed the single Body Count.
Oh, thanks, man.
I wanted you to share kind of like the inspiration behind that song.
Yeah, for sure. So that's kind of like a song just about like trying to just fucking run away from your problems. Like I have a lot of my own issues that I deal with that I talk about on songs a lot. And I think something that I've realized over time is that I will pretty actively avoid issues and try to run away from things until like that becomes its own problem in itself. Mm-hmm. So for example, it'll be something like, I've talked about this plenty of times, but I'm fully sober. I've been sober for like 7.5 years now. And so in the process of doing that, you sort of find other things to be addicted to. Right. Oh, yeah. And then that can become its own problem. So a few years, maybe like 3-4 years ago, I got super into distance running. Like I was like, I'm going to run the Los Angeles Marathon. Like I had never run before in my life. Like in high school, I was running like a fucking 15-minute mile. You know what I mean? Like it was bad. And I got super into running, but I got so focused in on it. And it became like my whole life to the point of injury. You know, like I was just like, there was a point in training for the marathon where I had run more than the length of a marathon twice inside like a 2-week period. And that's just me like trying to get out of my head. Like I just get into these crazy things. For me, it's just all or nothing all the time. Like I can't do anything fucking halfway. That's why I had to get sober, you know? Like I was just like, I'm doing all the drugs all the time. Start running. It's like I'm gonna run constantly all the time. So then like ran the marathons, and then earlier this year I ran the LA Marathon, and I was really trying to get my time down on it. Like I really wanted to do under 4 hours. Because I think the first year I did like 4:30. I was like, oh, I'll do under 4 hours, which isn't even like that crazy of a marathon time. Like these, you know, there's people out here doing it close to 2 hours. It's, you know, and like 10 miles in, I had gotten completely injured because the training leading up to it, like I had done way too much, way too fast, way too much speed. And so 10 miles in, my leg gives out, and then I have to limp the other 16 miles. It ends up taking me like fucking like 5.5 hours to finish the thing. Like I'm just like walking and limping the thing. And so the song Body Count is really just about like, sometimes I really try to fix myself and do things, but it becomes almost just as much of a problem. I've like so little self-control that like everything everything has to go to 10, you know. I'm fucking surrounded by all this collector shit because it's like I need all, if I'm gonna collect one thing, I need all of it, you know. Like everything is just fucking to the max all the time. It's all or nothing, and it's like something I really struggle with.
Dude,
so that's what Body
definitely
Count's
come to the right show, man. Because it's like I'm in recovery myself, you know, and I could totally relate to everything you're talking about. I'm 15 years sober from drugs and alcohol, but
That's
you know,
awesome.
It's just like friggin' you know, food will still get me, dude. You know, like
I get there sometimes, man.
yeah, you know, I mean, there's problems with, you know, sex, food, sugar. You know, I still had. I saw that when I was reading your bio that you're able to beat caffeine, man. That one's still whooping my ass, man. So you have to give me some pointers.
Caffeine is another one. I completely cut that out a few years ago, but that was part of what I say. Like, it's when I go all or nothing. It's like there was a point, you know, before I got to the point where I thought I could run marathons. I just got super addicted to like losing weight and getting in shape, right? So it was like for like a fucking year straight, I was just like, I'm just only going to eat 1,600 calories a day and I'm going to bike 10 miles a day. Like, and I did that for like a fucking year, and I got down to like 140 pounds. I'm 6'2". Like I got down to like 140 pounds, you know what I mean? And like through the process of that, I was like, all right, there's what I'm going to cut out sugar. Now I'm going to cut out all caffeine. And I went probably 6 months straight without even a gram of sugar in my diet. And it's just like, you just get, for me personally, it's like, I just get into this weird momentum where it's like, this is the thing that I'm addicted to now, you know? And I can almost take something that should be healthy and make it a completely unhealthy practice. You know what I mean? Like I remember people just being like, Ray, you got to stop losing weight. Like you got to stop doing this. And I'm like, no, I look great. Like this is the best. I look back on pictures from back then now, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ. Like I look like I'm about to snap in half. Like it's insane. But the same can be true. Like if I start like, you know, I got injured after the marathon and I'm just like, fuck it, I'm going to start eating cookies, you know? And it's like, now I'm just addicted to eating cookies. You know what I mean? Like it's fucking, everything you said, I struggle with all that. Like if I give myself an inch, like I have to go the whole mile, and it's like,
yeah. And I'm like that addict though, that will, you know, I mean, I mean, I guess I wouldn't want to go to the extreme like you were saying, you know, but at the same time, it's just like, man, I can justify so many addictions. It's like, well, I'm not drinking and using drugs, man. I got to eat.
Exactly.
I got to eat, you know? It's like, so it's like I can justify
it's my only vice. This is all I can do.
Yeah. It's like I'm going to the gym, you know, I'm still putting in some work, but it's just like I'm not like, you know, as disciplined and, you know, addicted to that, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, totally preaching to the choir here, man.
It's cool, man. I normally don't get to talk to people who are also in recovery, you know, like it's that's a cool thing, especially in the music world. It's like everyone around me, if I'm at a studio or whatever, it's like people are doing drugs, people are drinking, you know what I mean? And it's like it's like a hard place. You just sort of have to be there sometimes, and you just have to like stick to your ground. So
no, I get it, because I mean I'm still a big music fan, and I'm going to go to shows all the time, and you know I'm still in that environment. But it's just you know I actually, you know, I should you know after we're done with the interview, I should give you some information, because I've done you know, I'm always open about being in recovery in these interviews, and I've become friends with a lot of musicians, and we do a lot of Zooms and stuff like that, you know.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. In fact, I mean, I'm not blowing anybody's anonymity here, but you know, Art from Everclear is very open about, you know, being sober, and he's a friend of mine, and I'm going to see him tonight. He's playing in Cleveland, so
that's
you
cool,
know,
man.
it's like it's been awesome to become friends with a lot of people in this world, you know. So yeah, I could give you some information so you can connect with some other like-minded you know, musicians and stuff too.
Absolutely, man. That would be cool.
And then you know, talking about like us, you know, wild and wacky addicts that we are, even in sobriety. I really love the Muppets inspired album cover. Talk about what inspired that.
It's at the end of the day, it's truly just like, I just really love the Muppets, you know. And so pretty much all of the singles that I've released over the last year, I've just done like Muppet album art for them, because I think once I did it for the first time, I was like, this is cool, and like no one's stopping me, you know. Like why can't I just do Muppets? Like, I fucking love Muppets. This is what I want to do. And I think because I kept doing it, it became like a pretty recognizable brand. Like, I think if you know my music, and then if you see an album art cover like with a red Muppet on it, you're like, oh shit, it's Ray, you know. So I like that. And then even like I've got a music video coming out on November 7th, same day the album comes out, for my song Flatline. And we just did a bunch of crazy Muppet shit in it. Like, it's just like very debaucherous Muppets. They're doing drugs, they're having sex. It's like a wild Muppet thing. So
like us before recovery, right? Yeah.
Well, that's kind of the whole point, you know. Like that's what that song's pretty much is about. That, so, you know, got to go the whole way in the music. Because I try, at least in the music, I talk constantly about you know, my struggles with substance abuse, though, but it's like I try to take it from a perspective of like where I was at that time, not where I am now. I don't want to preach at people. I don't want to be like, everyone get sober, everyone do, like, I would much rather write a song and sing a song where it's just me, like, at fucking on my last rope, just totally strung out, and like it's just from that perspective, you know. And then if someone takes from that it's not something I'm encouraging, great, but like at the end of the day, I just want it to be fun music, you know.
Yeah, and we're not a glum lot, you know. I mean, we seem to have you know, a lot more fun since I've gotten sober, you know, because I can actually remember, you know.
Absolutely.
There's less like waking up the next day seeing, oh, who do I owe an apology to, you know?
Yeah.
You know. And then you know, I want to ask, like, kind of like how this album evolved, like, creatively, since like you know, since you put out Heartbreak Feels Good in a Place Like This.
So over the last year, I've put out like pretty much a song a week. Like, I think earlier in the year I was doing one every couple weeks, and then starting in like March or April, like I just started going every week I was putting out a song. And that became really cathartic, because when you're putting out that much music, you sort of need to have that much shit to talk about. And so it's also worth noting that, like, if I put out one song every week, it's not like I'm just putting out the only song I recorded that week. Like, I'm writing or recording, like, if I'm putting out one song, I probably wrote and recorded 5, you know, and I'm just like picking the best one. And oftentimes through that process, I found myself talking about a lot of similar things, which is like what we've talked about already on this podcast, you know. Like, I'm just sort of like trying to rectify and make sense of bad decisions that I've made in my life and things like that. And I think being honest like that on a song is more enticing for me personally if I'm listening to an artist, you know. And so I really do think it was just the process of writing so much material, forcing myself to be a lot more honest with myself, because let's face it, like there are things that I'm still confronting about my past. There are things that I'm still like trying to work through every day. And that's just what I found myself resonating with more when I wrote. So even when I was putting the album together, because, more than half of the songs on the album are already released. It's just like a collection of the ones that I like the most or ones that did the best this year. And then plus some new ones. When I was putting it together, like I really tried to put together something with a theme, and like it is really just that like me fucking hating myself theme, whereas with the Heartbreak EP that came out, I had recorded those songs. I think that came out in February, and then I had recorded those songs like the year prior. So that's like a 5-track EP that I had recorded like over the entire length of a year. So it wasn't nearly as intensive or like therapeutic. So the subject matter is going to be a lot different there,
Yeah.
It's a lot more playful. I still touch on some of the same stuff on a couple of the songs on that EP, but like, the title track with the Ryan Gosling song and the Ryan Gosling music video, I don't know if you've seen that. It's like, it's just fun and fucking weird and crazy, so yeah, that's how that ended up. They ended up being different.
Well, as you were, talking about like, Ray Hawthorne Sucks. I started thinking about, I'm going back into program, and I'm like, man, it's like you're doing like a 4th and 5th step and just putting it out there for everybody.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because I know, like when I'm writing, the first time I did mine, man, it's just like, God, I was such a piece of shit. I can't believe I did all this. I did suck. It's just like, but you gotta get, you gotta go through that thing. So hopefully this will be like your cleansing or something, for you.
It is. It's been very, very cathartic to write about some of these things, and then it happens so often, like, at least once a day, maybe a few times a day, people are sending me messages online about certain lyrics or certain song resonating with them, and that feels great, man. If it can help anyone, that's really cool, because at the end of the day, like, there's a lot of people out here that are just like, oh, if I can help one person, that'd be the best. But at the end of the day, like, I'm selfish about it. Like, I'm just trying to get through my own shit. Like, I'm just trying to help myself here. And if you want to listen, that's cool. So it is, when it does help someone, that is a feeling.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. This is like, because I mean, it's still helping you by helping somebody else too. It's like, realizing that there's so many other, I know for me early on too, it's just like, thinking I was so unique and I had no one to talk to. I can't tell you about this shit. You're going to look at me like I'm the Antichrist or something,
Yeah, exactly.
I tell you about it and then find out that they're just as jacked up as me. So, hopefully in a good way, it's connecting with a lot of people like, all right, dude, I can, this is going to help me figure out what I need to do next to process or heal,
Yeah, I would hope so.
But I also saw, that you've been doing vocals for Shavo from System of a Down and his project North Kingsley.
Yep.
How did you guys connect?
So it's a 3-piece with me, Shavo, and my friend Sorrow. And Sorrow, we used to work at the Apple Store together, like fucking decade ago, like iPhone 4. You know what I mean? Like a long time ago, we used to work at the Apple Store.
Nice.
And we used to make a lot of music. Pretty much our whole thing was just like we would make the worst shit, man. Like we would just do a ton of drugs and make like this really fucking crazy, weird atonal music. You can probably it's probably still online. Fucking look, it's called Damn Dirty Animals, if anyone gives a shit. It is terrible. Like it is so fucking bad, man. But we reconnected later in, like 2018 or something like that. I was sober by then. So we were making a lot better music now at that point. And we were in the studio that his Sorrow's friend was in the band Apex Theory. He's the bass player for Apex Theory, and then so he knew Shav from System because they came up around the same time. And they're both Armenian. Like Sorrow's Armenian, the guy from Apex Theory was Armenian. So there's like a pretty tight circle out here in LA of Armenian people. And we were recording in that studio, and Shav came in just to visit his friend. And we played him some music, and I was like nervous as shit. And he was like, this is really good. Like, you know, you could tour this and like people would come. And I was like, what the fuck just happened? That's crazy. And it was a long process of us like conniving to like get him in the band. You know, it was like he wanted to learn how to use the programs that we were using. So we're like, we'll teach you 100%, you know, like, and we're all the while teaching him, we're really just like making music, you know.
Yeah.
And it took a long process, but it really took a form of its own, and it's like super unique and super different. I mean, way different than anything that I'm putting out now, you know. But I owe so much to North Kingsley, because I think what I'm doing now, I wouldn't really know how to do it. You know, I was making music my whole life before North Kingsley that no one listened to or no one gave a shit about. But it wasn't until I did North Kingsley and I got to see how something works on the back end, and like how to effectively release it and how to get people to care and everything like that, that I was able to like take lessons from that for when I finally did have the time to release some solo stuff. People actually listened to it. And I was worried about that because North Kingsley is so different than what I'm doing now. It's like this heavy hip hop, like weird thing. Like I'm not really singing that much on North Kingsley. We have a full length that's going to come out. I'm not sure when, but there's a lot more singing on that. But the stuff that people know of North Kingsley, it's like I think I sing like twice ever on all the tracks that are out. It's mostly just rapping. It's like very like social political commentary type music, which is like not what I'm doing now. You know. I was super worried that anyone who gave a shit about who I was would only care about me from North Kingsley. So when I came out not being this like social political rapper, they'd just be like, what the fuck is it? What's this guy singing about Ryan Gosling? Like, what the fuck is happening right here? You know? But it turns out it went well. And then, you know, I'm in the position now where it seems like, I'm pretty sure that like most people that listen to my stuff don't even know about North Kingsley, you know, like, cause those worlds are just so separate. So that feels good that I've been able to like independently build up a different fan base that's completely has nothing to do with that. It feels nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny too, because you're talking about, you know, back in the Apple Store days and
yeah,
you know, messing around with the music and everything. And I was just like, just over the weekend, like my girlfriend finally like upgraded her iPhone to whatever like the current one is.
Yeah.
I can't keep track. I mean, she was old school. It might have been iPhone 4, like you were talking about. And she's laying in bed next to me and she discovers GarageBand.
Oh man.
Next thing I know, man, she's just like putting together all these little, and she's not even a musician at all, you know, she's a firefighter EMT, but she's just like, she's going on her thing, and it started sounding pretty good. I was just like, this is going to give her some hope and inspiration, I think, when I play this interview for her.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of stuff now, man, that's like, you can, even if you have no working knowledge of music these days, it's like, even with GarageBand or like anything else, like a lot of people use FL, and there's some cool stuff, man, that you can just put together and make some cool shit, you know?
Oh yeah. And then, I mean, with either of these projects, is there talk about taking it on the road?
Yeah, for both of them. I mean, for me, I would like to probably start playing out early next year. I think my whole thing was always I want to at least build up enough of a fan base and sort of be able to take stock of what people like and what they don't like song wise before I start performing them live. And my publicist gets on my ass all the time about playing live. She's like, you need to play live, you need to go out, you need to play. And I'm like, I'm gonna do it, I promise. Like it's gonna happen. So I'm thinking early next year would be a good time for that. And we've talked about it a bunch with NK too, but that's like getting the schedule together for that's like a whole other thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm thinking that's my answer. I'm thinking early next year. Cause also it's like when I look at the stats of who's really listening, there's a good chunk of like European listeners for what I'm doing. So like, you know, Germany, Austria, like around there. And I think I could do pretty well if I went out and just did like a, you know, maybe 4 or 5 night run in like Germany, which would be pretty fucking crazy to be honest. Cause I've never even been there. So to only go to play for the first time would be pretty cool.
Bro, you could be the next Hasselhoff, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I think it would be cool. Like, so I'm just trying to look into that.
Yeah, that'd be cool, man. Well, hopefully something maybe brings you out to Cleveland at some point so I can take
For
it in
sure.
live, you know?
You know, I've been to Cleveland once when I was 19 years old, and a record label that was based in Cleveland called Standby Records.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they hit me up to come out, and I recorded.
Was that Neil Sheehan at the time?
I think it was.
Okay. All right, hardcore marketing. Don't hold that against Cleveland.
Yeah, exactly. And we recorded like an EP, and it was cool. But by the time like the contract came across the desk, it was like, I don't know about this. You know?
Yeah.
And no,
Did Donnie DiBiase do the studio with you though? Because I think he was.
I don't know.
But he was he's a good dude. He works with Mushroom.
It was in
now,
like it was in like a warehouse. It was in the same warehouse that like Alternative Press was in at the time.
Okay, yeah.
And it was, I forget the guy's name. It was two guys. It was an engineer and like an assistant engineer. Donnie sounds familiar. I'm not sure though. I bet you I could look into my email and look it
I'm
up.
pretty sure
I think it was
around that time frame when that was active. Donnie.
I think it was called like.
He's a good dude. Real good.
Yeah,
Donnie's
I think it was called like Chin Music Studio or something, some shit like that. I don't remember. It was nice as hell. Like at the time, it was like the nicest place I'd ever recorded at. Like there was like they had like a Neumann microphone. Like it was fucking wild the gear that they had in there, and it sounded great. It really just came down to the contract. Like I was like, this is crazy, you know. But I don't know. I mean, who knows? Maybe I should have took it. But so I've been to Cleveland once for that, and so I was there for like a week, and I went to like fucking Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, obviously one of the days, and that's really my only experience with Cleveland.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the next time will be better experience for you, man.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you back.
For sure.
And then okay, so I mean we already touched on a little bit too, but it's like glaringly obvious in the background what a collector you are of comic books and action figures and stuff. When did was this part of your recovery, or was this something you've always
it definitely got a lot bigger after my recovery, because back when I was still drinking and doing drugs, it's like all my money just went towards that, and then so I wouldn't be able, I didn't have the money to collect any of this shit back then. I think I think growing up I've just always been interested in this kind of stuff, but then like later in life I started to like, I would see something I thought was cool and I'd be like, oh, that's a cool like figure from when I was a kid. I want that. Like I'll buy that again and keep it in the packaging and stuff. And I would do that like slowly. And it used to be a lot more disparate and like unfocused. Like I would get, oh, here's a cool Gremlins figure, I'll get that. Like here's a cool Batman one, I'll get that. Over the last like 4 or 5 years, I've really just focused in on Ninja Turtles. Like I've pretty much got rid of all the other shit. There's comic books back here, but that's different. But as far as like figures and stuff go, I mean, if you could see this whole room, it's fucking crazy. Like this whole wall over here is just there's gotta be, I gotta be looking at 100 Ninja Turtles figures. You know what I mean? Like in the box, and then there's even more over here.
What was it about Ninja Turtles that pulled you in?
I think they've just been like my favorite from the time I was a kid. You know, I grew up in the time where it was Ninja Turtles were like the coolest thing. I'm like a 90s kid, you know, so Ninja Turtles were just always the coolest fucking thing to me. And I just still like them later in life. Like I think, once I hit my
into their graphic novels as well, or
so that's what I was gonna say. I think once I hit my 20s, I like went back and started reading like the old Mirage runs of Ninja Turtles, and I was like, this shit's like so different than what I had expected. Like it was like they took it kind of seriously, which is a weird thing to do with something as in like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is such a fucking insane concept. So to go in and like take it seriously and make these like heartfelt comics eventually was really weird. So I got into it that way, and I just really like it. I recently read through almost the whole IDW run that they did, like from like 2014 on or whatever. I think I've got a few left to read. Like I didn't get to there's one they did called like Armageddon Game. I didn't do that, but obviously like Last Ronin and all that I've read. I'm super into all of it. I love the new fucking cartoon that's out. I watched that, like all of it. I'm always down.
Yeah, I mean, as a kid, I was a big comic book collector, and then like I had Star Wars, GI Joes, superheroes, the Marvel and the DC and stuff, and it was just like, man, how much. But of course, I was the kid that took them out of the box and beat the shit out of them and everything. So it's like all that money.
Oh yeah,
gone. Eventually, hopefully I'll be able to go back. I started kind of going back and collecting, and I realized, man, I'm a dad, and I got too many bills, and our place is too small. So maybe eventually, But we're really big on like going to the conventions and stuff when they come through town. Like it used to be Wizard World, and now it's like Fan Expo.
That's cool.
And stuff like that, man. So me and my daughters will go to that, and that'll be like our annual family photo will be with like Revenge of the Nerds, or people from Lord of the Rings or something like that.
That's cool. Yeah, I've been to a couple of those, not a ton, but I've been to like WonderCon and shit like that. And I used to actually, there's one they do in Pasadena because I'm in LA. So there's one they do in Pasadena every year called Monster Palooza. I used to go to that every year. It's like more horror focused.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Those are good too, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get the Fan Expo here in Cleveland, and then there's this thing called Cinema Wasteland, which is more like horror focused, like the old school horror movies. And then, but one of my favorites that I got connected with is up in Detroit area, and it's the dudes from Twisted put it on. Okay. It's called, Astronomicon or whatever. Nice. But
good name.
Dude, yeah, look into that, because it's like they always have Twisted always performs, and they bring in other musicians to perform and stuff, and maybe Ray Hawthorne Sucks can do a
I'm down, man. I've heard more than a few Twisted tracks. I went through my fucking ICP phase when I was a kid.
Yeah. So yeah, those are cool ones to look into. But yeah, man. Like what's next on the agenda? I mean, obviously, getting ready to drop that video and then the album, so everybody gets to check it out. But what's the plans after November 7th?
Shit, man, I'm making headway on the next album. So I'm pretty sure. It's funny, I thought for a second like, oh, maybe I don't release a single after the album because I put out one every week, but I'm just like, nah, I'm just gonna hit the ground running. The album comes out, new single next week. Like let's just keep it going. So I've got most of my releases ready for, I think I'm good through like the first week of December now. And I'm just going to keep going. I think mentally I want to know that I did one a week for like a year, and then I can just try to dial it back a little bit. But I think it's like, it's that marathon mentality, man. Like
It's an addict brain.
Yeah, like you just got to hit the fucking finish line. So let's keep going.
So the next phase, are you going to suck less then, or
I don't know. I think I'm just going to continue to get worse. Really, it's my plan.
Nice. And then before we get ready and wrap up, I want to ask you some of the questions that I normally ask my guests that I have on. Like you talked about some of your early influences, but who are your top 3 musical artists that you're listening to today?
Today, constantly listening to. There's a band called Bill Murray that I listen to constantly.
Nice.
It's not the. I feel like I talk about them all the time, and I always have to be like, it's not the actor. It's a band. it's spelled different. They do this really crazy like. It's basically like pop country if it was like had breakdowns and was like more like metal, like post-hardcore kind of thing. So it's super unique. Absolutely love it. So I'm listening to Bill Murray all the time. I am listening to the fucking Disney pop punk album that just came out. It's like fucking, it's all these pop punk remakes of Disney tracks. So it's like Magnolia Park is doing like Song from Goofy Movie. You got Newfound Glory doing like Part of Your World. It's pretty fucking crazy.
Nice.
And then let's see, what's the next one? I listen to a lot of, I'm just trying to think of like what I listen to while I'm running. I listen to a lot of Enter Shikari, like the early Enter Shikari stuff. I don't know if you know who they are.
Yeah.
Nice. But I really love their first couple albums, like Take to the Skies and Common Dreads. I always used to say, like, if I ever had the time, like I would want to make an album like Common Dreads. I thought it was, I remember when it came out, I was like, this is the most unique thing I've ever heard. I felt a similar way about Take to the Skies. That's probably what I'm listening to the most right now.
Nice. And then what class do you feel should be mandatory before graduating high school today?
Fuck, man. English. I know that is mandatory. I just feel like I'm so tired of like, I just feel like no one's reading or got critical thinking skills or fucking like, like it's crazy, man. Like, I don't want to sound like some old man, like get off my lawn, but it's just fucking like no one is thinking about anything anymore. And I just think like English or like a creative writing class could really fucking just zone in and think about that. Read a fucking book,
Yeah, just like critical thinking in general, man. It's like, definitely feel like we're lacking.
Absolutely.
And everything's like so comfortable with an emoji or a, LOL or whatever,
Yeah.
But I am the get off my lawn guy. I mean, I'm 51. I'm proud of it now. My girlfriend calls me a boomer because she's much younger than me. And I'm like, all right, I'll embrace that, I still remember.
My dad's calling me right now. Let's see. Let's see. Fucking he'll like this. Hang on.
All right, yeah, let's bring Dad into it.
Hey, what's going on? You're live on air.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What class do you think should be mandatory before you graduate high school? What do you think?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Well, I'd like to say math, but I hated math when I was in school. So that's a tough question, man. Is that one you got asked?
Yeah, I just got asked.
All right. Well, I'll have to go with math, even though I hated it.
All right, you heard it here. It's my dad thinks math.
I always said I'm never going to use math, and here I am. Right now, I use it every day.
Yeah, he's a contractor. He builds houses. I'll call you back. I'll call you back after. All right, cool. See you.
That's awesome. Yeah, usually the number one answer I get is like finances or how to do your taxes and stuff. So it involves math,
Yeah, there you go. And
then like And that was probably that was probably like what is that show? Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And you call in,
Yeah,
or whatever,
exactly.
or whatever. But I think he knew that I was going to go to this next question too. So he wanted to plant a seed in your head. But 3 people who've inspired you and you can credit for making you the person you are today.
Oh man, well, definitely my dad. Definitely extremely hardworking dude. Still working hard. Today's his birthday, actually. I think he just turned 62. Still working. Like he's gonna go. He says he's gonna retire. The dude is gonna go to the grave. Like he is absolutely an extremely inspiring and hardworking dude. And also, he's been sober my whole life. Like I think he got sober when he was 21. So I've said before, I think if he wasn't sober, the idea never would have crossed my mind. I would have been like, oh, things are, I would have been like, oh, maybe I could just start controlling my shit. Like I can just drink less, I can get high less, I can do all this. I don't think I would have seen being sober as an option if it weren't for seeing him like that. So that's definitely awesome. I mean, I owe him, more than I could say.
Shout out to Dad Hawthorne. He doesn't suck.
Yeah, exactly. His name's Ray too. So, it's in the fucking, that's where it is. And then the guy who taught me how to play guitar, his name is Gino White. And I owe just as much to him as far as music goes. When I started taking those lessons when I was like, whatever it was, like 13 years old, at a certain point, like I had brought in these really like shitty and juvenile songs that I had written to show him. And I was like, oh, look, like I wrote songs. And he was so fucking encouraging and so like, this is great. Like keep going. And he had like a jazz trio at the time. And one of them, he's like, if you're okay with it, like I want to cover this song with my jazz trio, which was like blew my fucking mind, and wow. And he didn't have to do that. And they were not good songs, like he just wanted to light a fire, I think. And he gave me so much good advice, and I still try to keep in touch as much as I can with him. I don't go back home. I'm from New Jersey originally, and I don't go back home too much, but a couple years back when I was home, I saw that he was playing somewhere, and I just rolled up and surprised him there, and we hung out for a little bit, and it was a great night, man. That's awesome. I owe that dude so much. Like he was so encouraging, and he actually put the first album I ever did. He put it together. Like he was like, if you can write, I don't know what it was, like 10 songs that are as good as that song, I'll put an album together for you and we'll press it and do all the things. So I had the CDs and everything, and I hope that album never sees the fucking light of day, to be honest. Like it's rough. It's again, like all this stuff is like very juvenile and they're not good songs, but I think he saw that I was hungry and he saw that there was potential for me, and so I really owe that to him,
It's awesome.
Yeah. And then third one, I mean, obviously my mom, right? But I feel like if 2 of them are parents, I can't do it. So honorable mention also up there with my dad is my mom. Just as super encouraging. Absolutely best mom in the world. Both my parents have always very much supported me through my music, even when I feel like they shouldn't have, like it's, I'm out in my 20s, like in LA, just doing drugs, and they're just like, keep going. And I'm like, it's fucking, you know what I mean? Like so supportive, and always saw the potential for me to be better, and always encouraged me to be better. So I can't thank them. Fuck it. That's not going to be an honorable mention. That's the third one. It's my mom, my dad, and Gino White. Like that's what it is, man. Like without those 3 people, realistically, I'm not even sitting here today. It's a completely different world for me without them.
Nice. And then are there any causes or organizations that you support and encourage others to check out?
I donate to the ASPCA every month. The animal thing. I love my dog very much. is Oliver over here.
Nice.
I guess that's what I would pick, would be ASPCA. If you're going to donate anywhere, let's save some animals.
Yeah, maybe you could roll in, on a future project with Sarah McLachlan or something too.
Yeah, exactly. We could just write a really fucking devastating song. I think sometimes about that. I honestly think, like, does she play that song live? And if she does, like, what is the vibe? Like, I honestly wonder about that, because I feel like if I was her, I'd almost want to leave the song off the set list, but I almost feel like you got to close with it. Like, it's I don't think I could name another Sarah McLachlan song. So it's like, if you're going out to see her, you probably want to hear fucking. Is it called In the Arms of an Angel? I don't even know what the fuck it's called. I just
yeah.
Like,
you should be able to bring your rescue dog to all her shows too.
Yeah. But I do wonder about that. I'm like, does she play it? I feel like it would really harsh the vibe of the show.
I know. Or you get people to, open up their pocketbook at the end of the show. Donation too,
Yeah.
And then, I think we might already know the answer, but I could be wrong. But favorite toy as a child?
Oh yeah. It's the Turtles, but I think probably specifically, there was this like pizza thrower tank that the Turtles did. They actually did a reissue of it recently. You can buy like new versions of it in Target. But it's like a pizza thrower tank from the Ninja Turtles, and I used to just play with it and shoot the pizza discs out of it all the time. And good time. That's mine.
Awesome. And then any message that you have for our military members that are currently serving overseas?
Oh, I love this. Keep going. Like, I'm a big supporter of the troops. Keep going, man. You're better men and women than I am. I've never been military, and I've got nothing but respect. Absolutely nothing but respect for the troops, man. Keep pushing.
Awesome, man. Yeah, it's like I was inspired to do this podcast. Well, for multiple friends of mine that have done podcasts and stuff too, back in the day. But like my last deployment, I would come back after, whatever we were doing, and get ready for bed, and I'd throw on the headphones and I'd listen to my friends doing a podcast, and it would just take me away from where we were at,
That's awesome.
And so the name Today's Boondoggle is actually inspired from one of my senior chiefs during my last deployment. And then, I just want to always give back. So for the boys and girls that are over there, give them something to distract them and bring them a little bit of home,
Nice. Do you think, because obviously to be in the military, there's a lot of like very structured training that you have to go through. Like, do you think having that experience and that structured training like helped you on your path to sobriety?
I guess if probably now maybe there's some of the stuff I'm carrying in, but
yeah, it's a no.
when I was in, it probably did more to enable my drinking.
Well, yeah. That's clearly a problem that I think a lot of people have, like when they get out, from what I understand,
Yeah.
So I think more so. That's what I was wondering, was like, I think it's like unfortunately common enough that when people get out, they're dealing with all kinds of, mental issues or substance issues or whatever. But I always was curious about, like, does that structured lifestyle like help or hurt, the process? So
yeah, I don't know. We worked hard and then we would play hard, when we got off duty and stuff. So it was just like, I don't know how many times when I was a young man that I'd be out till like, 4 a.m. and then muster at like 5, just bleaching people's eyebrows with my breath.
Yeah.
But it was a different time back then,
For sure.
But Ray, man, it's been great talking with you, dude. It was awesome having you on. For any of the audience out there that's new to hearing about you and want to support you and check everything out that you're bringing out on this journey, where would you send them?
You just go to rayhawthornesucks.com. Everything's there. All my.
Oh, you're all in with the Ray Hawthorne Sucks, man. You even
Yeah,
got the
you know,
.com.
RayHawthorne.com is taken. It's been gone for a long time, for a very long time. I guess someone else
Well, your
named Ray
dad took it for his contracting
No.
job, or what?
Yeah, I wish. I wish, because I could get it from him if that was the case. It's like it's like an in memoriam page. Like someone named Ray Hawthorne, some other Ray Hawthorne died when I was like 12, and it's been like in memoriam page forever. So I would feel uncomfortable finding them, tracking them down, and trying to get the website.
Yeah. But you don't feel uncomfortable when his family wants to remember him and they do a search and then Ray Hawthorne Sucks pops up.
Yeah, exactly. I do dominate the Ray Hawthorne search at this point. It's Ray Hawthorne Sucks. I have taken over Ray Hawthorne the Weatherman. He's been my longtime rival from the time I was a kid. Ray Hawthorne the Weatherman. We've never talked, but just so you know, Ray Hawthorne the Weatherman, I know who you are. But I dominate the search results now.
Nice. And then one last favor before I let you go. I need a Ray Hawthorne promo ID for the show. Just introduce yourself, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
What's up? This is Ray Hawthorne. You're listening to today's Boondoggle.
Awesome.
Is that good? All right.
Yeah, man. It was good, man. It was good. Hey, Ray, thank you so much for your time, man. It was great talking with you. And I'll just log off, and then I'll give you some information real quick.
Yeah, for sure. This was great, man. I'll come back anytime. I really like this one.
All right. Thanks, man.
For sure.